Well, and considering Jock O'Mahoney, I have to remember that I worked with him on the Fall Guy series and King of the Cowboys, which is Roy Rogers' 71st birthday, and they had a lot of Western characters come back and play in the posse in that. And he, of course, appeared as Yancey Derringer, and I appeared as the Virginian, and Edward Clore was in as well. It was Pat Buttram was in it, and there was everybody looked around. There were people from all the series were there, and somebody said, "Well, I wonder where Lorne Green is from Bonanza." And Pat Buttram said, "Oh, he's out feeding his dog." You know, Lorne used to do those Alpo commercials, so everybody got a big kick out of that. And then later on in 1985, we worked together, and actually together, in a scene from The American Cowboy, when I was playing the sheriff of the town, or the marshal, or whoever the good guy was, and the bad guys were coming to town, led by Leo Gordon, and on horseback, and I had to go out and confront them, and this whole gang of cutthroats. And I was in the bar scene, and Jocko was playing the bartender, and he gave me a look of absolute affection and confidence, and which we never rehearsed or anything, but the scene called for him to throw me a Winchester rifle, because I was standing there with a pistol. I needed a rifle to fend off this gang of thieves, and he threw this rifle clear across the room to me, and it landed in my hands just like a wee bird. He had judged the distance and the trajectory and the parabola of the gun flying through the air, and it just landed in my hands perfectly. And he had a big grin on his face and nodded at me, and I went out the door and got the drop on the bad guys. But that was a movie that was going to be a movie of the week for television, but it really turned out that way. They didn't have much of a script, but we had that moment together, and I cherish it because it was it sticks in my memory as something that was absolutely as perfect as we could have gotten it in that particular little snatch of time. In my career, I've always looked for moments of perfection in my work and in other people's that I can sit back later and think about and get some great satisfaction from. I remember another instance with Jocko when myself and Doug McClure and about 40, 50 other people from Hollywood were invited to Washington, D.C., and it was a kind of a senatorial visit. We went up and visited the Senate, and we were entertained there on Capitol Hill, and we got to meet the president, and most of us knew President Reagan very well from his years in Hollywood. And Jocko, was a close friend of his, and I think probably may have doubled him at one time when Jocko was working as a stuntman. I'm not sure of the particulars of that, but I have a picture somewhere which includes just the right-hand side of my face. The other half of my face is out of the shot. But there was me in the foreground, Doug McClure right over my shoulder, and then Jocko and the president. And Jocko has, everybody was supposed to shake the president's hand and not interrupt him or anything, let him go on down the receiving line. Jocko grabbed him, a big bear hug, and then kept a hold of his arm and his hand and stood there and talked to him for about 10 minutes. And the expression on my face is one of abject embarrassment that Jocko would do this on that particular occasion, which didn't mean hell of beans to him, whatever the protocol was. He was going to say hello to Ronnie and tell him all about what was happening back at the ranch or whatever he was talking about. But the look on my face is one of absolute horror that he would do that, step out of line like that, and it was certainly within his province to do that. I was just embarrassed because I thought there was some Secret Service man was going to come up and grab him and tackle him or something, and I was worried about it. But of course, nothing happened. It just went on. It's just a moment in time that sticks in my mind. But what really sticks in my mind about Jocko is watching his film, watching his Range Rider and his Nancy Derringer, and the things the man could do physically with his body were literally phenomenal. I saw him take one step and launch himself through the air from the steps of a Western saloon one time, and land. He came to rest, landing against the midsection of 4 bad guys who were standing there at the hitching rail. He jumped clear over the railing on the porch and the hitching rail with one step, and landed like a side in the middle of those guys' belly buttons, and took them all down and landed on his feet. He was a guy who could put his hand on the saddle horn, and from a standing position, I don't think he even hardly bent his knees more than an inch or two. He could jump clear over the horse. His physical prowess was just unbelievable. Of course, as we all know, he played Tarzan at one time, and he had a physique just like Tarzan, and he worked on it. He had a big outdoor gym in his backyard with high and low bars that he'd work on giant swings and all the things that you do on the bars, and that kept him in tremendous shape. He was just strong and able to do all those stunts. He did some spectacular stunts in his stunt career, doubling all kinds of people from Errol Flynn on down. So seeing some of his film is always thrilling to me because he was so adept at all the physical part of it. There was absolutely nothing wrong with his acting. You believed him, and you believed every word he said. He was an absolute natural, and I had a great deal of love and affection for him, and still do, and miss him every day. I knew him before and after he had the stroke, which he did, as most people know. He had a stroke maybe, I guess, 5 or 6 years before he passed on. And it slowed him down and made his speech slur a little bit. But he still had a great twinkle in his eye. And he just enjoyed life every day. So, a lovable man, and I hope to see him again on the other side. God bless him.